Welcome back to Weekly Polls Pick of the Week, episode 81. We've got the usual panel chewers joining us today. I'm Mike, and I'm here with Steve and Jared. We got a pretty big show, and so I think we might just get into it, although, Steve, maybe we can give a little reminder to people about the read-along that we're going to be doing.
Yeah, sure. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we discussed about doing the Chris Claremont run of Uncanny X-Men. It is available on Libby and Hoopla, well, depending on your area, I guess, but it is available for all of us, and we're all over the country. So if you'd like to read along with us, we will be starting with Giant Size X-Men #1 for next week, and then we'll decide from there how many issues per week. But we'll be reading an issue or two, and if you'd like to read along with us, then it's free to do. So jump on and see if it's available in your area, and if it is, then it'd be fun to read with you. So yeah, so next week, Giant Size X-Men #1.
Awesome.
Classic.
Yeah.
New to me. I'm the only one that I think it will be new.
That'll be actually another good, different perspective, you know.
Okay.
Because we're looking at with nostalgic lenses, and you have a fresh eye on it.
All right.
Yeah, definitely. So we have lots of books to get to, so we'll go ahead and just jump into it. And the first one on the list for me is Into the Unbeing, Part 2, Issue 2. This is the second part. I don't know why it's in parts, but it's in parts. The survivors continue their journey in this one, and things get much, much weirder as they go. They are experiencing lots of weird things. It's very Annihilation-esque, if anyone's read Annihilation or the Southern Reach Southern Reach series now. It's very akin to that. It's also kind of borrowing things from The Descent. So if it'll sound familiar, or if that movie's, if you're a fan, then I think you'd probably like this. It is one of the better horror books on the market, I think, and this one stands out mostly because of the layouts and the artwork. There's some really cool layouts in this issue, really creative, and yeah, it's good. I mean, it's been solid throughout, but I think we are moving along. There's weirder and weirder things happening, and it's a feast for the eyeballs for this issue. So yeah, if you're a fan of horror, then you should be reading this series. I think it's really, really good.
What's the company?
I believe this is Oni. Is it Oni?
Oni Press.
Yeah, let me double check. This one is, riveting podcast here. It is Dark Horse. Sorry.
Oh, Dark Horse. Okay.
Yes, very good.
Yeah, they put out some good horror stuff. Dark Horse does.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next up, I got One World Under Doom #2, and I went over #1 last month sometime, and once again, I thought it was, I always thought it was cool that Doom would take over the world, so I got into it. I was a little worried about how these things were going to end up, and #2 amplified my worries a lot because it was kind of boring. I gotta say, it was a lot of the Fantastic Four and the Avengers standing around going, "What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?" And I don't know. Reed Richards is supposed to be the smartest guy on the planet, but they do something real stupid and say, "Let's just attack Doom while he's giving a speech," and of course that doesn't go well. And I was like, that doesn't seem logical for such a smart guy. And it just didn't fit. Doom has a talk with his goddaughter, who happens to be Reed Richards' daughter, which doesn't make sense to me. But all told, I was my worries came true. I was quite disappointed with this issue, and I probably won't be continuing on with this with this kind of nonsense. There you go.
But you liked the first one, right?
I did, because I
Yeah.
like seeing Doom take over the world. But I was worried it would kind of spiral into this kind of nonsense that I saw in this issue, and you know that by the end of it, he's not going to be ruling the world, and you know it's going to go back to status quo. And if I'm wrong about that, if he actually ends up ruling the Marvel universe forever, then I'd be like, okay, I'm all in. But I don't think that's going to happen. So.
On a related note, I think we talked about this a little while ago, but I did see the trailer for the Fantastic Four, and the CGI thing to me looked like shit. So I don't think
Not
I'm
excited about that one
I
either.
don't think I'm going to check that one out. But yeah, so the first one I have is a manga, and I think people who are horror fans or manga horror fans will recognize Uzumaki by Junji Ito. And this is the big omnibus edition. I think that's, I don't know if it has any other title, but it does also have, this edition also has like a hidden or missing issue. There are 20 issues and then like an afterword. Yeah, I've not read a lot of manga, so it's just kind of been missing for me. This is 600 pages, so but it goes by pretty quickly. However, I did feel like there was moments. It's not something I would want to just read in one sitting. I think it really was meant to be read in kind of a serial fashion more, although there is an overarching arc, and it is more about a town and these young people. It's kind of centers on, I think, you know, children of high school age. But there's just it's got a lot of kind of Lovecraft elements. There's a lot of horror, but you don't really know where it's coming from. It's this never, and I kind of like that it's never really explained, but essentially Uzumaki, I think, is translated into English as spiral. So it's horror and kind of mind bending artwork and just people's going mad about these spirals. And it does kind of wrap up very nicely at the end. I won't say it's a great ending per se, but I love how it kind of all comes together. And like I said, it's never really explained what is the complete cause, but like as I mentioned, there is a really important element about this town that the characters are in, and a lot of characters see their demise in these very, very bizarre ways. That, I mean, just the imagination of Junji Ito, I think, is very impressive, and I don't always see that manga has like the most refined artwork, but in this case, I think it's very well done, and can be very grotesque at times. So if you're into that sort of thing, it's definitely not for like little kids or anything like that. But I got a kick out of it. So yeah, I'm really glad I read it.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's lots of really gruesome scenes in this one, and there's different outcomes, but there's a few that have stuck with me. I think I read it a couple of years ago, and there's a few of them that were pretty troubling. Yeah,
I think like even at the beginning, the first character that like he kind of like his eyes start to spiral, and then he eventually his body like there's a lot of body dysmorphia or body horror as well.
mm-hmm.
So this, I think he's one of the fathers of the children. He like turns into this spiral, and it's just so disgusting looking. And that one's kind of haunting me right now. I don't know if that's one of them, but it's very early on, so they don't hold back. Like within, I think almost each chapter has got some crazy thing happening.
Yeah, it's definitely worth a read if you're into horror. Or
Yeah.
I like the artwork too. I thought the artwork was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very gruesome. Speaking of horror, the next one for me is The Exorcism at 1600 Penn. Now, for those who don't know, this series is about the first lady who has in the first family, who there's a mystery around one of their children who are behaving strangely, and in the beginning, there's some questions about whether or not this is, kind of like a biological weapon that our enemies had infected her daughter, that they're trying to, get her sick, or there's some kind of like biological attack, or is it something that paranormal where there's a demon who possesses the daughter and that's why she's really acting out. The artwork by Vanessa Del Rey is the kind of what stands out here for me. I think the artwork has been probably the best part of the whole series. This is the final issue, and it's a bit of a downer. I'm not a big fan of exorcism stories or possession stories because a lot of them are the same. They have kind of a certain beats that they hit, and a lot of the kind of the red herrings that were set up through in the beginning of the series, it's kind of wasted, and it just becomes very by the numbers at the end, and it was kind of a disappointment. So I'm not too thrilled with the end, but it was fine. I mean, overall, I think it was fine. I think it's worth the read for the artwork alone, but not a big fan of the last issue, really.
All right. I have up next Time Waits number 3 from our friends at Distillery Comics. This is a review copy that was we were allowed to look at, and this is the completion of the series, as far as I can tell, unless they could plan on making like a sequel or something like that. But Time Waits number 3 is once again a story about kind of like a time cop type time travel story, where cops are these authority figures are sent into the past to retrieve a wayward compatriot. And so in this third issue, it was pretty cool how once again the artwork is great in this series. Marcus Toe and Marvin Sienapar do a really good job with the artwork, and it's easy to follow. It's pleasant to look at, and in this particular issue, we get a little bit more about some of the problems that are happening in the future. So you get a little bit of a bigger picture of why this guy ended up in the past and why some of this stuff is happening. And so they fill in a little bit of the backstory in this issue. There's a lot of action, just like in the last issue. There's a lot of action going on, a lot of wondering what's going to happen next, a lot of tense situations, and so it was fun to read for that aspect. I kind of wish we got a little more actually from the future setting. I was wanting more of that world building for the future of what they were saying. So there wasn't enough of that for me. I wish there was more, and that's why I'm wondering if there's going to be some kind of sequel in the future or not. That would be really cool if that was explored a bit more. But overall, it's a great book to look at. A fun, action-paced time travel, caper. So pretty good stuff.
And I think for the next one, I had the wrong name written down. I think this one's mine. Did you read Free for All too, Mike?
I did.
Oh, okay. Go for it. Go ahead and kick us off, and I'll hop in when you're done.
Okay. Yes. So I, as Steve said, read Free for All. This is by Patrick Horvath. I think it's written and drawn by Patrick Horvath, and he is known as I believe the artist for Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. So Eisner nominated, if I'm not mistaken. It is mentioned on here, I think, somewhere. And this is from Oni Press. Yeah, it's got a good premise, I think, although we've definitely seen it before. So basically, we've got kind of a Hunger Games or a Running Man scenario, if you know the Stephen King short story or movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger and the guy from Price is Right. I actually like that movie. I don't know. And so but we've, in this case, we have billionaires who are essentially doing these like gladiator battles. They're these, I don't know if they've been taking advantage of people or it's not, maybe it's explained, but it's far, far into the future, I guess. And these billionaires, it looks like they're being punished, and whoever loses, if I'm not mistaken, they have their wealth redistributed, and it's like actually they may not be billions, they're billionaires, they could be trillionaires, I don't know. And so like one of the gladiators, although I don't think they're called that, but he's like really successful, and then it kind of ends with him battling somebody from his past. So let's just say that. And I think it was okay. I didn't always feel like the writing was great, or the dialogue, but I did like the artwork. I think the artwork is not as refined, but I'd love to hear what you think, Steve, as the Beneath the Trees. But it's 50 something pages, so it's a big one shot. It's not a number one. It's a one and done. And the price tag was $7.99, which is in very small print, and I didn't see that until later.
Yeah, I didn't see it either. I actually had to look up the plot for this one because I read the book and I didn't quite understand how the billionaires were entered into this lottery. So
yeah,
and it wasn't very clear reading the book, but I went and looked it up. So it looks like when you reach a certain level of wealth, then you're entered into the lottery, and you can either choose to battle as a gladiator or you can choose to battle in this arena to the death, or you can give half of your wealth away, and it's kind of redistributed for people to the government. And that really didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because if you're for sure going to die against someone like our main character who is like 21-0, and just like it's just just churning through people like butter, you'd figure I'm going to give half my wealth away, still be a trillionaire, a millionaire, and I'll live. But they're deciding not to because of greed, I'm guessing. But I thought it was a fun premise. I'm a big fan of Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, and Patrick Horvath, I think, is someone to really keep an eye on. I think he's really talented. He wrote and drew this one too. And the person from his past who comes, I thought that was kind of, I would have liked to see this more as a series. It kind of more fleshed out and give it some more meat. I think there's a lot more of a story to tell here. And I thought it was okay. It was a fun read. It was, I think it was worth the read, but it didn't blow me away. But there's a fun idea here. I think there's a lot more stories that could be told in this world. And the artwork, I've read a few people who said the artwork wasn't as good. And I wondered if it's because in Beneath the Trees, all the characters are animals and they're more detailed because of the fur or their feathers or whatever. So I wondered if that was because these are humans and they're not animals like we saw before in the other series. So I'll probably be rereading this because I think I missed something with the whole setup. I wasn't quite sure. That's why I had to look it up. But yeah, I thought it was pretty gruesome. There's one kill at the beginning that is pretty rough. So it doesn't hold back.
I'm going to share that I did read this on public transport, and I'm not sure if that was a great idea, but somebody was kind of like looking at me, but I don't care. But I think he's a big fan of like vivisection or cross sectioning people's body parts or heads. So there's a lot of that in there too.
Yeah, there's a giant hammer and a body that they don't mix.
Yeah, the body turns into like mulch or something.
Yeah,
or like a red mist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, up next, I think both Steve and I have the Sacrificers, number 15, which we know was Mike's pick of the week last week. But yeah, I mean, I can see why. What a great issue all around. Wonderful artwork once again. Those Fire God pages, wow, just amazing stuff. Really intense story. This series just continues to amaze me.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing that bugged me, of course, was we're gonna have a big break after this issue, and we're kind of left hanging. And I was like, no, I don't want to wait 3 months to find out what happens next. But we got to live with that. Got to give these creators their due and give them time to make the best thing possible. So, all around great job. It really, I can't believe how they can ratchet up the intensity so much while giving us so much story at the same time. And it seems to be a kind of the calling of this series in general, that they're able to do that. And I really, really am enjoying it, and will be sad it's not coming out for a couple months, but still eagerly looking forward to the next issue.
Yeah, I think seeing the power that the god has is pretty intense. The colors and the flame and everything. I thought that's
great.
Pretty wild. So that was the kind of, it's just very explosive throughout the whole issue. And looking back on, this is issue 15. Looking back on the entire series and only up to issue 15, and how far we've come in 15 issues is pretty wild.
It is, yeah. A lot of story, and still a lot to go, I think. But it's just, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a testament to the storytelling that the creative team is doing, and kind of how far it's come. And I don't think they have an end in mind yet, or at least they don't have a target end, but it sucks to wait. But as long as they keep coming out with these kind of issues, I'm okay. Like, it's like, don't wait too long. I mean, I hate to wait, but it's frustrating to wait, but the level of quality has always been really, really high. So
yeah.
Top notch.
Yeah, very good stuff.
Oh, yeah. So I'm back up here with Absolute Flash #1. Of course, this is from DC, and we have Jeff Lemire writing, as I think Steve mentioned, and that's why I went for it. I don't know. I felt a little confused. Maybe just because I don't know Flash very well as a character, except for, I hate to say it, like some of the movies. And what was that latest movie? I actually watched it. I thought parts of it were okay. But this one is more of a slow burn, and we're developing this character. And now I'm forgetting his name, but is like kind of a younger kid playing the role of the Flash. But we learn about his father, and we learn about kind of his interests, and maybe he's kind of a loner. He's kind of like a I think the kid's got some issues with his dad, which I think is just shows that Jeff Lemire is good at developing characters. He's taking his time, like we've seen in other things that he's done. And we really don't get going that much. And so it does kind of end because we don't actually see any Flash at all that I'm aware of, but it's kind of ending. And I think maybe the next issue we're going to learn um, more about what this means for this character, the Flash. But I'm not really giving away that much. But I didn't think it was great, but it wasn't bad either. So it's a lot of setup. So for me, I almost am guaranteed to read the next one just to kind of see where it goes. And I think that if that was the goal, it accomplished that.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed that these aren't just limited series. That sounds like they're going to be ongoing. Because I think if we had a limited amount of runway, they could do some really interesting things. I think intending them to be ongoing or kind of, I wish they were like maybe 20 to 30 issues and then wrap up. Maybe the course of 2 years and then they wrap up and start over again or do something. But yeah, we'll see. But I'm glad it wasn't a total dead for you.
Yeah. And then the character's name is Wally West. And for you, did you have the same sentiment? You're gonna continue?
Yeah, I'll keep going.
Okay.
Yeah, and Jeff Lemire I trust. So
okay.
I'll give it some more issues. Next one for me is You'll Do Bad Things, #1. This is Image Comics. So this one was, I just kind of picked this up on a whim. So it's about a writer who is trying to write his next story. He wants to get away from true crime. And there's a murderer running around killing people. And I'm not quite clear on how much of this is really happening in the story, but there's definitely someone running around killing people. So there's some great use of color and shadows and lighting and kind of the whole layout. I thought it was really impressive the way that it's laid out, and the artwork is very Lampham-esque. It's very focused on characters. It's a very contained story, very kind of in the streets. You get it's based in New York, and you really get the feeling of being there in that environment. And yeah, I was pretty impressed with the first issue. I think this has a lot of potential. So on a not so great week, I think this week ended up being really good for me. This would have been in contention for pick of the week for sure, but yeah, lots of good stuff happening here. So I was very pleased with the first issue. I'll be continuing.
I'm glad because I picked that one up, but we'll probably get to it next week.
Cool.
Cool. Next up, I have Saga number 72. So getting up there in the numbering system here. This was continuing the saga of our friends. I can't remember, Hazel, I think her name is. So this series is funny because it's kind of one where I kind of forget about it until the new issue comes out, and I read the new issue and I kind of get right into it. Like I know the characters already, and you kind of just go with the flow and get into it. And you get reminded of things as you're reading it, of where the situation is, what this situation they're in. You know the major events that happen to get them where they are, even if you don't know all the details, because this series has been going on for like 10 years now. And so you don't feel too lost when you pick these issues up, even though there was a big delay between the last issue and this one. And it's a pleasant read. It's not like the top of my read list anymore, as far as, have to get this one read, can't, like, it's totally looking forward to it. When it comes out, and I'm happy to read it. Fiona Staples' artwork is as good as it always is, but I also can't complain about it because it's still very well done. It's still a compelling story. It's still has great character moments, like it always had, and this was the end of an arc, so to speak. So there'll probably be another couple months before the next issue comes out, but it did wrap up a story arc, and it wrapped it up pretty well. So you're leading into new territory for the next story arc, whatever that's going to be. So overall, a solid issue. It wasn't the most exciting thing I read this week, but it was still pretty good.
I think it took like a couple of years off, right? Wasn't it quite a while?
Yeah, they had I think it was somewhere around 50 something. They took at least a year off. Yeah.
And it looks like the last 3 issues, there's at least one or 2 month gaps between them.
Yeah, it's been very irregular lately.
Yeah.
But they've been consistent with the same creative team generally across the board, or?
Absolutely, yeah. Every issue is always Vaughn and Staples, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a series I've always kind of hesitated getting into. I think I did read the first issue, and it felt it was pretty on the, like, for me at the time, I felt like this is like a Star Wars thing. So I didn't get into it too much, but one of these days I'll give it another shot.
Yeah, it definitely has that feel. In a galaxy far, far away and weird alien races. But it definitely is a adult theme tackling type of story. It's not action focused like Star Wars might be. Not that there's not action in the story overall, but it's definitely more character driven.
I'll have to give it a try one of these days. Add it to the list. So the next one for me is Dust to Dust number 4. Another good issue. This is another one that would be in contention on another week. We spend a lot more time with the people in the town, learn some history. It's kind of a little bit of a change of pace from the previous ones, because we get to know the people around, who are just kind of get to know the characters in the town, the interpersonal dynamics, and that was a lot of fun. Kind of feel like a fly on the wall on a lot of this, and the artwork continues to be really good. The use of color, you feel like you're in like a dust bowl type of environment in the desert, blowing around, hot. The one thing, well, you do feel like there's something else going on beneath the surface here that we've gotten a glimpse of before, that there's more going on here in the story. So I'm excited to see what that exactly is. The one thing that kind of bothered me, that took me out of the story, was towards the end, when we get use of kind of modern slang in this story that's supposed to be in the 30s or 40s. Completely threw me off. And it wasn't even that, like, it was one line. It just kind of took me out of the story, because it's modern thing that people say. And I hate that. It's one of my pet peeves. But other than that one line, just a really great issue.
Cool. I'm looking forward to it. It's in the mail.
Nice. Really good stuff.
Cool.
And things are going to get nuts here soon, I think. So excited to see what happens.
Excellent. Next up, I have The New Gods, number 4 from DC Comics. And this series continues to surprise me at how much I'm liking it. Mainstream, DC universe type story, but it's definitely more geared in the space mythological sphere rather than your straight superhero stuff. Not that it doesn't have superheroes, it definitely does, but it has more of it just has more of that epic feel of that mythological grandeur, I guess, that I really enjoy. And this story picks up, it continues on, from the previous issues, but it still has its own unique feel. Like every issue has had its own unique feel. The artist, whoever he really he changes up his style a little bit from issue to issue, and the coloring and stuff, and they use different tones, and it just suits the issue at hand. And they did that again in this issue, and I really enjoyed it. And there was a little bit more of kapow and bang in this issue than the previous one, which had a lot more darker mythological tones. But it still was. I think the story is pretty good. It's deep. I think it's original for what it is, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm so surprised by how much I'm actually liking this. A mainstream DC book, and out of all of the books that started with this DC all-in thing, including the Absolute books, this has been my favorite by far.
Yeah, it's on my pile. I didn't get to it this week. It was after I think I had 7, and I thought these books are really seem like they're kind of like heavier books, and I thought I'll wait till next week and kind of get to that one next week. But yeah, so far I've been impressed with how good that book is.
Yeah, me too. This one and Sacrifices were both contenders for the pick of the week. Yeah.
And I do have Free for All 2 on my list, so sorry guys. So George, if just jump into Conan.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All right. That's it. Yeah. So next up, I have Conan the Barbarian, number 19. And we return to Doug Braithwaite doing the artwork in this issue of Conan, and I just love his Conan artwork. It is fantastic. So you guys can see that, but I'm just showing these guys because it's just beautiful stuff, and it's another Conan tale where he's he's stuck in the jungles of the southern kingdoms, which would be basically Africa in our world, but and it's another tale of Conan going through the wilderness and encountering wild animals and surviving in these harsh wilderness conditions. We've seen this tale before, but it's told well by the current writer Jim Zub, and it is drawn so well. It is really just the artwork just pops, and it just it's so nice to look at. And the comics is a visual medium, and if you don't have good art, sometimes even a good story can be lost. But if you have great art, an average story can be enhanced. And this, like I said, this story is not unique or individual. We do finally meet a character from the old Conan comics in this current run of Conan the Barbarian from Titan. They finally brought in a character that Roy Thomas created a long time ago, and so we're seeing that interpretation of him for the first time in this book. And you could start Conan here if you wanted to get into Conan the Barbarian, because it's you wouldn't need to know anything that had previously gone on in the current run of the series. And so that's Conan number 19. And, I'm a big fan, if you can't tell.
It's awesome. That sounds good. I keep meaning to pick those up, Jared, and I don't know what's stopping me. I'm going to be joining you at some point soon, though.
Awesome.
So this brings us to the picks of the week, and I'm going to kick us off with The Kids. This is from Garth Ennis and Dalibor Talajic. And this is also from Image Comics, and this imprint seems to be called Ninth Circle. I don't know if that's solely Garth Ennis, because this is one of those bigger magazine size comics with I don't know, 40 some pages. I feel like Image is trying to they're trying to do what Distillery is doing, but I mean, I don't think it's not necessarily new, but the quality is very good. The artwork is usually like, just phenomenal. And this is not, for me, an exception. And I think it's better than the one that we read, Steve, that I think it was called Freddy something something about Fast Freddy.
Freddy the Fixer.
Freddy the Fixer. Thank you. But the premise for this one is just really deranged, as we know and love from Garth Ennis. If you're into that sort of thing, I'm certainly not for everybody, but basically it starts off very tame with a family and, mom and dad and two kids. One of the kids is a baby. And that's really important because we learn that after this, night passes the next day, everyone in this neighborhood, at least, if not, on a larger scale, but it is very contained to kind of like a neighborhood or a town. Anyone that had an infant or a baby is shocked to learn that that baby is gone and replaced by some big, giant kind of oafish adult version. And it's just a really bizarre concept. And so if you can imagine this adult being in your home, and it's like kind of going wah wah, and can barely ambulate, and is like bashing things over its head and putting things in its mouth. It's such a great concept, but also it has kind of like a zombie invasion vibe, because this is kind of revealed early on, so it's not like a big, and then it just kind of goes from there. And then so this family kind of teams up with this older lady who kind of helps them out, and they're really just trying to survive the night to get to the next day. And so but there's a lot of ribald content here, and so definitely R-rated, and a lot of kind of it's a great idea. I've never, it's just crazy. It's never, I won't say it's explained that well, and I just don't care. I don't think it matters, but for a one shot, this is great. Like, I think it's very contained, and if you're into like horror and like whether it's Twilight Zone or whatever, this is a recommendation from me.
Nice.
So bummed I missed that.
Yeah, and the cover is also crazy. I think it's funny.
Yeah, I need to check that out. I must have completely missed it, so I'll have to grab that one.
Yeah, for me, when they're these bigger size, they're usually like on a different rack in my comic store, and so like I think it could be easy to miss it.
Cool. All right. My pick of the week, because I didn't want to pick 3 books, so I picked one, is Mouse Guard, Dawn of the Black Axe, #1, from Archaea Comics, which I think is an imprint of Boom Studios now, even though they used to be their own company back in the 2000s when this series first started. And Mouse Guard is basically epic fantasy mice. That's what it is. And it's written by David Peterson, created by him. In the older issues, he used to do all the artwork as well, so he was the total creation package. For this particular series, he has recruited Gabriel Rodriguez as the artist, and we didn't really lose anything with his choice of an artist. He must have knew what he was getting when he chose this artist. As somebody who has his own style, but really captured the feel of this little epic fantasy world of Mouse Guard here. And this is about a basically it's a magical item, this black axe, and it's basically about the beginnings of it, the creation of it, how it was found, and who ends up wielding it, and it's really a fantastically put together issue. The artwork is beautiful. This is kind of a young adult's, well, or maybe even like older teen story focused, but it also has some pretty decent themes running through it for older readers as well. And so it's really all ages, literally all ages. Anybody can enjoy this book. I used to read Mouse God to my son when he was younger, and I would today if he would sit still. But he's a busy young man now, so I can't track him down for that. But I'll read it myself. So how about that? But and it's great. I love it. I love the artwork. I still love the setting and the story. There was even a role playing game of this little universe put out a long time ago. And I don't know if it's still available or not, but it was fantastic to get back into this world. I was a little trepidatious at first because I was like, am I still going to like it? I liked it back then, and I was kind of curious about whether I would still like it, whether it was worth it to get it. And it was, absolutely. And it's a weird format. It's magazine width, but shorter. So it's more like a square than anything else. So if you're a stickler about comic book storage, you may have trouble with that. But if not, then if you're like me, you just want to read it because it's awesome, then check it out. I highly recommend it.
That's on my pile too.
Yeah, oh, cool.
Yeah. I've always wanted to I heard a lot about Mouse Guard, and I saw it was a #1, so I thought maybe it'll be a good place to start.
Yeah, it is. It takes place far in the past from the regular series, and so it's really cool.
Nice. So, much to my surprise, my @1 is Absolute Martian Manhunter. This is, of course, the new all-in Absolute line, and this is by Dennis Camp and Javier Rodriguez, and this is so good. This is what I wanted from the Absolute line. I wanted something different and new and fresh, the different approach, something off the rails, something to just like, not more of the typical stuff you're expecting to see. As much as I'm enjoying Superman, Absolute Superman, it's nice that we're getting something completely different. The use of color in this book is some of the best I've seen. And I know that sounds like an exaggeration, but it's so cool. All the different shadows and shades and bright colors and dull colors. And it's so neat. It's so cool. It's basically about, so John Jones is an agent, like a federal agent, and he's involved in a bombing. He's injured in a bombing, and he manages to survive. This is in the first 2 pages, but he starts to see and hear different things because there's something strange going on with him now, and he sees all these different colors. He sees thoughts, and he hears thoughts, and there's colors involved. It's like the psychedelic trip. It's so neat. And in the paper version, there's some pages you can hold up to the light and you see different things. And I've heard there's if you use a black light, you can see different things on the pages.
Oh, jeez.
All the different color. I mean, it's so cool. This is what I wanted from the Absolute line. I'm not sure how long this can go on for, like what else they have up their sleeves. But as far as this one issue is concerned, I loved it. It was so cool. And it's very fresh and unique.
Wow.
And I am on board with this one. I hope it does not crash and burn. But so far, it's off to a great start.
Yeah. So I got to say, I was surprised to see that as the pick of the week as well.
Yeah, I wasn't even sure what to think. I did see the covers, and I thought, well, I mean, there's there's an alternate cover I really want to get my hands on. It's like a foil cover. I need to get my hands on that one. But yeah, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I expected kind of more of a kind of casual, like not take it itself as seriously as it does. It takes itself seriously. It's not, I expected it to be kind of a nonchalant kind of thing, but it is so neat. It's so cool. I'm so impressed with the artwork, the use of color and shadows and shades, and it's so neat. I loved it. It was great.
Cool.
Yeah, blown away. So if you've been hesitating and any of that sounds interesting, maybe this one will be the absolute book for you. Maybe. I don't know. I can see some people not enjoying it because it is so strange and off the wall, but I thought it was very creative, very original.
Yeah, I think I saw the cover and I was like, for whatever reason, I was maybe I didn't read that it was absolute or something. I was just like, what the hell is this? And then I wish now that I had picked it up and looked through it a little bit, because anything different like that sounds really appealing.
Yeah, I was a fan of the original, of the not the original, but the Martian Manhunter run that John Ostrander did back in the 90s, I think. And so I saw that cover and I was like, well, that's not my Martian Manhunter, so I'm not going to pick that up. But I don't know, maybe I will now.
I think it's so cool. I loved it. I thought it was really, really neat and very different, very original. Yeah, this is what I wanted the absolute books to be, is something different, not just more of the same. So, very cool. Yeah, lots of books this week. Yeah. So, yeah, lots of good stuff. I think I only had maybe one that was but the rest were all very solid. I had a lot of books in contention for the pick. So,
yeah,
really solid week.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I will say I didn't feel like it was appropriate to pick Uzumaki as a pick of the week because it's so many pages. But it definitely could have been. But and also it came out so long ago that I couldn't do it. But very good week for me too.
Yeah, good stuff. It's nice to have these weeks, and it makes the not so great weeks, not as rough, because there's really good weeks like this. So yeah, that's issue. That's episode 81 in the books, in the can. But thanks everyone for hanging out and listening to us. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, you can always find us on the forum. There's on pagedoing.com. There's some reviews and stuff up there. And there's also a link down below to send us a message directly. Just click the link and send a message and hit send. And if you'd like to make suggestions or feedback or whatever the case may be, don't hesitate to reach out. But until next time, Jared, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me at the Fantasy Thinker YouTube channel, and you can find me on the podcast Speculative Speculations and the Oscar Project and some other talks and podcasts and stuff on we organize on Page Doing.
Just a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of stuff coming up. But cool. Yeah. So until next time, hope everyone is having a great week, and hope you found your pick of the week. And we will talk to everyone very soon.
Bye-bye.